everyone. This is Jeannie Ellis, also known as ScrapbookingwithME. Today I want to share with you a tutorial on making a rose. I have made, I think, at least one other one before, probably a couple years ago. And while it was okay at the time, I have developed different techniques and just do it a little bit differently than what I did then. And I have had some requests on making another tutorial, and so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and do that. Now, before I go further, I want to let you know, first off, that excuse me, I have gone through different YouTube videos and got ideas and techniques from various people, and I can't name them all because I don't remember, but the one in particular that I really have been impressed with here lately, that I've learned a technique from her. Her name, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Archana Joshi, and her first name is spelled A-R-C-H-A-N-A. I'll put a link to her YouTube page or videos in my description box. Anyway, the technique I use from her is to wet down my petals, my layers, and they just seem to come out softer, and I'll show you the difference. First of all, here's one I did without, there we go, without using water on it, and while the petals and everything, they look fine, they just don't look very good because they look spotty, and it may be because I use a dauber, but it just looks spotty. And now let me show you the one that I used with water. Get a little closer there if I can. I'm not sure why it's not focusing. There we go. Okay, that is made with water sprayed on it, misted onto it, and I may use more water than I should, but anyway, that one's made with water. Now let me put them together and see if they'll focus okay together. See the difference? And it's the same exact ink on both of them. So what I used on them was the Tim Holtz Distress Ink Festive Berries on both of them. Again, I say, because it just amazes me what a difference the water does. And I have learned to make other flowers, cherry blossoms from Archana, and those I never made before, but she gives such great tutorials that it just amazes me how easy they are to follow. And so I recommend that you go to her channel and check her out. So before I go any further, let me tell you what you need. Of course, you need your ink, and you need a sprayer so you can put some water on it. And then you need a dauber or something to put your ink on, whether it be a sponge or a dauber. Then you need a tool that has a rounded end to it. And then you need 4 layers of petals. Now, I've already got these cut out, and you can use a punch to make these petals. But what I used was a silhouette portrait, and I just cut out some layers of flowers from it. But you can use a punch, and which is what Archana uses. She uses a punch. Excellent. You can't tell it's made from a punch. Excellent work. So anyway, this is 4 petals, and I've already done a couple, or a few already made. So I'm going to set these aside and show you how I roll them. So first of all, before we do any rolling with the ball, or the ball end, you want to ink it up, okay? And all you have to do, I'll just go ahead and do this one here so you can see how I do it. And it's basically like what Archana does too. I just, in the middle, I go ahead and flip it over. Do this over here. And then I do it just basically in the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I take ink and go along the edges. I learned a lot from this lady. I mean, she's just fantastic. Now, my petals already have a little ridge on them, in which I like to put ridges on them. A lot of times if I use a punch without ridges, instead of using the silhouette, I use some decorative scissors, and I cut around the edge of the flower, each flower. But I used my silhouette and it worked just fine. So if you don't have it, the alternative is use decorative scissors, or take your scissors and just kind of go up, edge it around each petal. So I've inked up both sides, and it doesn't have to be perfect because, it's going to be a flower, it's going to be folded together and everything, so you're not going to see all that. So the next thing I do is I take my water and I spritz. Oops, I left one off. I need all of them. I do that sometimes. Now, I spray before I ink before I spray, and I can't remember for sure how she does it, but I think she sprays and then inks, but I can't remember for sure, so just check her out. Anyway, I give it 2 or 3 spritz. I might do one on the other side too. And, she does her spritzing too. She just, takes her napkin, like when I'm getting ready to do, and daubs it. Now, I don't think she does the next part that I'm going to get ready and do. I believe she kind of lets them dry a little bit on their own, if I remember right, but I can't tell you for sure. But anyway, I kind of dry mine a little bit. I don't do it on my mat because I don't want it to, get heated up too much on my mat, so. And I don't necessarily dry it totally. You can dry it totally, it doesn't really matter. But what I find is that it just makes such a smooth texture to it. So there's the one layer done, and I've already done these here. I've already rolled them. So you need 4 of them. But I'm going to show you how I roll them. I take one side. It doesn't matter which side I go with. I go from the top and I roll down on each petal. And I may do this more than I should, but to me it just seems like it looks better, if it has a little more wrinkly to it, because it looks more natural then to me. And I turn it over and roll on the other side. And you can see how they curl up on their own. If you want them curled up more, then you can do this. But the thing of it is, you're going to have to I do something different with that anyway. So I just turn it over and I kind of press it down because I need my petals to curve down, except for one layer, and I'll show you what to do with it. And then there's my 4th one, same thing. Just take each one and roll it up. You can use a rounded-ended paintbrush if you want to. Any tool that's got a round end to it. You don't want it to be a sharp end, because if it's a sharp end, you're going to tear your flower, your layers. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over again. Or turn this one over first time. And I tell you what, I love making flowers. I mean, especially when I learned that water technique from her, and the cherry blossoms from her. I mean, they are just, those cherry blossoms are fun to make. I also made chrysanthemum from her. Let's see if that's not focusing very well. Don't know why. But anyway, it's probably because of the colors. But anyway, I've made a few chrysanthemums from her video. So, and they're fun to make too. It's amazing how she does this, and hers looks so real. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back over because I want to turn those petals back. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these flowers, one of these layers, and I think I'll use this one here, and I take 3 of them and curve the other direction. You see how I'm doing that? There's one, and I skip it. There's the second one. These are 6 petals, and then I skip a petal, and then I go another way. Okay, and the reason I do that is because those petals are going to be, formed to make my bud. And before I glue, I want to show you. You can use liquid glue or hot glue. I use hot glue because it's faster and it's messier, it's stringier, but I like it because it's faster. So anyway, what I'm going to be doing is put a piece of glue, a little bit of glue here. I'm going to layer it over here, and then I'm going to do that way with the third one. So let me show you the first one. Oops, you got to take out some of the glue and everything, and excuse the background noises. Okay, let's put a little dab here, squeeze gently, then put a little bit of glue on it. Press it together, sorry. Okay, now I've got those two together. I'm forming the center of the rose, the bud part of the flower. So I'm going to do that same thing again, but I'm going to layer on top of it again. See how it layers on top? It's not underneath, it's on top. Okay, so I need to put a little glue on that. And there goes my strings. Okay, there we go. Now I've got that on there, and I like to lay my flower, set my flower down while I'm doing the gluing so I can make sure that it stays pretty well straight. Now I have the last petal to do. As soon as I can get to it. Okay, it's the same thing. I'm going to layer this piece on top. It's not going underneath, it's going on top. So, a little bit of glue. And like I said, you can use liquid glue. You just have to make sure it holds down before you let go of it. Okay, so now I've got the center of the bud down. Okay, now I'm going to be putting these rest of these petals on, and all I do is put a little glue down each petal, just a little bit, set it down, pick it back up, little glue here, set it down because I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. It may not be perfectly straight, but it's going to be a lot better than just trying to do it, for me anyway, just trying to do it in my hand. Okay, so now I kind of press down on it to make sure that it's pretty flat on the bottom. Now, if you'll notice that on the bottom there's like little points on here, and I did learn that from another YouTube lady, and I can't remember who she is. But anyway, I kind of use those as points as a guide too. I just put a little bit of glue on the bottom there, that bud, and I'm going to set the petal of each one of the ones that, the 3 that I had, second part of that bud. See how you kind of put it in the middle between the other layer. So this is between here, and this one is between here. It's not perfect, but it's close to it. And this one's pretty well in the center too. So try to set it to where your bud is, the petals here and between the other petals. So off-centered. Why didn't I think of that before? Anyway, they're off-centered. So, and I kind of just press it up a little bit. I usually do that before the glue is totally dry. I I just press it up a little bit, and then I take this layer, this section, I put glue on here, and then I go ahead and set the third layer and do the same thing, get in the center there, and kind of put the petals in between the other layer of petals. See how they're between these two here? This one's between these two. And I kind of press it up again a little bit. And then I put my fourth layer, do the same thing. Oops, too much glue in the end. I think my glue gun's getting ready to go out on me. And same thing, I'm just putting those right in the center there. And I like to keep it laying down onto the table or the mat, because that way I can tell if it's in the center pretty well. So, and there's my flower. Oops. Now, to make the leaves, these are petals that I made using an idea from this lady I was telling you about also. I just trimmed them down. You know, she used a 5-petal punch, and that's what I used. And I just simply, you know, did the same thing she did. I wet them down. I can't remember if she did or not, but I wet them down, and I just kind of put right in the middle of the petal before I cut them out. But after I had done the edges, let me get that petal layer maker for you. I had taken this punch, and I believe hers is the same kind of punch also. But anyway, that's what I did. I cut out the layers, and let me see, I may just go ahead and just take this scrap paper, see if it's big enough, and make a white one. Not saying that's what I'm going to use, but I could color it if I want to afterwards. But just let me show you. Okay, these are already cut out this way. I mean, I don't have to worry about cutting any sections or anything. And then I just take and kind of follow the outline of the edge of the petal. This is how I make the leaves. I'm not the first to do this, though, so I won't take credit for that. But this is just showing you also how I do it. So then I kind of just continue going around the edge. You know, just turn it over and continue around. Normally this would be green, but I can ink this up and make it green if I want to. So I'm not going to do that right now, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, these leaves I have separated because they were left over from another one, and I didn't want them to set the way that they were, you know, when I cut them out like this, I didn't like the way they were setting, so I just totally cut them out. So I wet this down, same way, same thing, paper towel. I daub it, and I didn't wet it down very much, so I'm not going to dry this, and that's probably what she does too. She doesn't dry it very much or wet it down as much as what I normally do, so I probably soak it too much. Anyway, I take the ball part of my tool, which these are made for flowers, and I kind of go in the middle and roll down. See how it's forming there? You can see like a vein. And just roll it down. And there I have my petal. Now this one here I didn't do, or my leaf, not my petal. If I feel like I need to do more to it, I can. Okay, now if this were white, let me find a flower over here. Get this big one. That's, yeah, if it was green, not white, it's already white. If it was green, you know, and a big flower like that, then that would be fine like that. But because I have a smaller flower, that's just like overpowering. So I just take my scissors and I just kind of cut them out. And if I want to, I can leave 3 leaves on and use this. Just kind of do it like that if I want to. Or I can take these leaves and put them together like that. See if we can get, whoops, about lost it. Let's see if I can get close enough where it'll focus. I don't know why it's not focusing. It's on focus. Maybe it'll focus better in my hand. Let me try that. Tell you what, I'll just glue these green ones down onto the flower. Notice that one's not very, you know, when you make a video, nothing goes right. Okay, so I'm going to put a little glue on the bottom. Don't want this way. And here. And right here. So now I've got my leaves on there and I can adjust them if I want to. So now I've got 2 leaves on there. Now, a little trick I've learned, that if I have something that's not set on right, get my heat gun, heat it up, because I really don't like the way this side here is way out. So I'm going to heat it up. Be careful not to burn your finger. I'm going to take it, pull it out, and just add some more glue to it. But this time move it in a little closer. So there I have my 2 leaves on my flower. There we go. I guess I just have to get closer. 2 leaves on a flower. And that's how I do my roses. And like I said, I've learned different techniques from different people. And the big thing that I have found out is if you practice and practice and practice, you come up with your own idea of how to do it. So you learn your own technique, and you know, even though you've borrowed from other people their technique, and which I love the fact that people are so freely giving their ideas to help other crafters. And again, I want to especially thank our Chana Joshi, because she does some really awesome ones, and she's helped me with that water technique. I never thought about it before. I thought they were just fine, but they really do help your petal shaping and to do the water, and they just seem to look more realistic. So anyway, God bless, have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.